everyone, hope you're doing well today. So Transformers is a beloved IP and they have an array of video games, movies, action figures, etc. But two of the most popular video games are War for Cybertron and Fall of Cybertron. We don't talk about the third game. Trust me, I didn't even know there was a third game. You'll be better off if you pretend it never existed. But these two games are beloved by a lot of people. In fact, during my walkthroughs, most of the comments I get is how do I play these games? And unfortunately, they are not available on digital stores because of license issues. Now, it comes with the terrain. When you license a character like, say, Spider-Man or an IP like Transformers, it's only for a limited of time, and it's up to the publisher to renew that license. If they don't, they get delisted. That's why you can't get Spider-Man Shattered Dimensions or Edge of Time anymore. You have to get physical versions of the game, and it could be a hurdle to get these games because not only are they very expensive, in fact, this is how much War for Cybertron cost and Fall for Cybertron. So they're pretty damn expensive games, especially if you buy them new. And you also have to get hardware that runs these games, like a PlayStation 3 or an Xbox 360. I can say from experience that War for Cybertron and Fall for Cybertron do work on an Xbox One, but not an Xbox Series. So that's the problem that you have to deal with. Same thing when it comes to PlayStation games, which is a lot bigger of a hurdle. But regardless, with Activision Blizzard being absorbed by Microsoft, a lot of people were hoping that these games would be re-released for modern hardware, and we know that Phil Spencer is a huge advocate for game preservation. He's been pushing through to allow games to be available on Xbox platforms, despite the fact some games simply do not work for Series but do work for Xbox One. It's kind of ironic. Like, you can buy, for example, Manhunt, and it'll work on an Xbox One, but it won't work on a Series X. And for some reason, the Xbox One X version comes with a whole host of upgrades, such as improved frame rate and resolution. It's like, I don't know, it's so weird. But regardless, a lot of people were hoping that this would come to fruition. So the reason people were wondering that War for Cybertron and Fall of Cybertron would come to modern hardware is because of the Gamer Edition action figures that were just released by Hasbro. So these are what they're talking about. Action figures based on the video games, Fall for Cybertron, War for Cybertron. And yeah, a lot of people were asking, there's no licensing issues. We own all of it. It's on the table for us. But with the live action movie and stuff, there's always that stuff that's going on. You still have to deal with Paramount and the licensors, which is absolutely true. That's why the games aren't available digitally. So they asked the question, possible to re-release the Activision Transformer games to coincide with the Gamer Edition, again, the action figures. Sadly, apparently Activision's not sure what hard drives there are on their building. You can tell this was written very quickly. So when a company eats a company that eats a company, that things get lost, and that's very frustrating. Hopefully that's now that the deal is moving forward with Microsoft and Xbox, that they'll go through all the archives and every hard drive to find it all, because it's an easy Game Pass ad. We want those games back for people to have a chance to play. Now, just a little information about game development. Assets and source code are the lifeblood for a video game. There was actually a great video by Matt McMuscles dealing with the Silent Hill HD collection, where he goes into detail how Konami didn't have the correct assets for the HD collection, and because they didn't, everything that was not available had to be remade from scratch. That's why the original game plays so much different than the modern games. Like, there are so many things that are problematic with the HD collection, and they just had to do their best with what they were given. So if they don't have this, these assets and these codes, it's going to be such a Herculean task to redo everything. In fact, it was also done with Crash Bandicoot, where they had to remake stuff just for the sake of trying to re-release that game as the Insanity trilogy. So it's not an easy task. It's extremely difficult, and it can lead to a lot of problems down the line. Nintendo, as far as I can tell, is the only company that keeps their code and their assets very well preserved. That's why they were able to release Star Fox 2, the NES game, that was never released because N64 was coming out. So that's why it was able to just come out just like that with no problems. They preserved their code and their assets very well, but other companies don't really do the same thing. So let's go on. How did this impact the process of making Gamer Edition? Sam had to load up the games on older platforms because there were some deck code details we couldn't find. We have the CAD, but it's not colored, so we had to find some of the character details within the games themselves. So do you have the game's assets then? We do. It's very interesting. Fall of Cybertron, and we have everything. For War of Cybertron, we had to rip it ourselves because we could not find it. They kept sending concept art instead, which we didn't want. We need the CAD, so we booted up an old computer and ripped them out from there. Which was a learning experience and a long weekend because we just wanted to get it right, so that's why we did it like that. So apparently they have everything for Fall of Cybertron, but not for War of Cybertron. So maybe that could happen. Regardless, what led to the Gamer Edition's creation? Were Activision or Hyrumen involved? There actually weren't, because we own the rights to the games. They're licensed from us to be produced, so we have the freedom. Again, we kind of took that from Star Wars. We looked at what we were doing with the Black Series. There was gamer stuff. It was really seemed like natural progression because we wanted to see what we could expand studio series into. It doesn't only have to be live action, which the team started with 86. It's a natural progression. We're going to run out of characters eventually. How do we keep studio series going? Gamer Edition came a suggestion from an engineer who's been on Transformers for a very long time. When we wanted to start doing the 86 movie stuff, he was like, it was great if we did this as well. And it was like, you're totally right. We need to do that, and we need to get the ball rolling. So there you go. The reason that we don't have the games right now is because they don't know where all the assets are. And if they were to invest into re-releasing these games, they apparently have all the rights to it, but they just don't have all the assets to the games. And if they get the green light to re-release these games, they're going to have to go through everything to make sure they have everything running. Now, you can't just transfer over the game like, I have a physical copy of the game. You can't just extract that code and just stretch it out. It's going to look terrible. There is a very meticulous process that goes to HD remasters. Again, it's like with Matt McMuscle's video on Silent Hill HD collection. Konami thought it was going to be a simple job, just, take the game and just, do whatever magic you can to make it look prettier. No, you have to go through every single detail of the game and revitalize it with better HD visuals, make sure everything runs correctly. It's a long process. Yeah, you do have the game's foundation, but it's not easy whatsoever. So hopefully Phil Spencer might do it one day. He might say for a big Transformers event and just re-release these games. I mean, I feel like that would be a huge win for Game Pass. Just say, hey, those old Transformer games, we have them. You guys want to experience them? It's on Game Pass, or you can buy them off the Microsoft Store. It's not on PlayStation because, Jim Ryan said that who would ever want to play older games? But regardless, let me know in the comments below what you think, that if you would love to see these games re-released. Do you have memories playing these games? Heck, if you even played the infamous third game, what do you think of that? Regardless, that's me. I hope that you learned something, and I'll see you all later. Goodbye.